Hello, welcome to .NET Training Academy. In this video, we are going to learn about how to become a full-stack web developer. So, a full-stack web developer is capable of performing tasks at any level of the technical stack in which they reside, which simply means they should be capable of handling every part of development in the website, which means it may be a front-end design or back-end or database or else DevOps or hosting. They should be capable of handling all the stuffs, which means they should be a ninja in web development. So what is a full-stack web developer in detail? Full-stack web developer is the combination of these all parts: UX, UI, backend, database, and server. UX simply means the illustration, the design, the idea which we make comes into reality. It is something like mocking up or wireframe kind of stuff. We need to analyze their clients or business requirements, and we should implement that as a design, which simply means we gotta convert those business logics and we gotta relate and map those ideas to the design. So, and the next part is UI. All we need to do is to convert the UX in reality, which means website as a website. So this involves web designing and user interaction. And next part is backend. Backend is the very important part of any dynamic websites, which involves business logic and the action layer. It simply means, business logic simply means, when, for example, if we took Facebook, the main business logic of the Facebook is a social platform where people can communicate with other people's, where they can share their posts, messages, videos, and all other kind of stuff. So that's the business logic of Facebook. So there will be each and separate business logic for every companies or every startups that we are going to start. So the database. Database simply means to data files, store some values of the users and also all the data which has been stored inside the database. So this is simply environment. User experience. So first thing, what is user experience? User experience is something which we make the ideas. We gotta collect some ideas and we gotta create some content strategy for that, and we also need to illustrate or mock up the website according to the business logic or client's requirements, and then we gotta make that fidelity over and over to make that into a perfection. So this is user experience, which simply means we need to become a user while creating a user experience. Users should not regret or avoid your websites with clinky stuffs, which means everything should be usable and also everything should be interactive, as well as all the stuffs in our website should be pleasant to look and feel. So for that, user experience is very important in a full stack web development. User experience basically involves requirement analysis from the client or the business. We gotta gather all the requirement. For example, if we are doing a website for a business company, like an IT company, we gotta gather all the stuffs like what they are capable of, what is their specialty, and we gotta collect all the information and we gotta create some content for that. And based on the two stuffs, we gotta create a basic illustration using a paper pencil, which is known as low fidelity wireframe. For the low fidelity wireframe, all you need is a paper and a pencil. You gotta mock up the illustrations in a paper, and you just need to design the mock-ups via papers and pencils. And in the medium fidelity wireframe, which means mid fidelity wireframe, we use softwares like Balsamiq and Axure. I prefer Balsamiq. Before we continue upon this session, I'm going to provide you a lot of tools, frameworks, and programming languages throughout this video, but at the final I'm going to say what's my choice and what's my favorite. So there's nothing controversial, there's nothing controversial like one better than other. So just for your note, I'm saying this is my favorite. If you like that, you can go on. If you don't like that, just grab the content. And this is the medium fidelity wireframe. Balsamiq is very good for me. I'll use Balsamiq for the mid fidelity wireframe. Mid fidelity wireframe is where we get the user flow and the mock-up designs, and where, for example, login, and after the login where the user should be redirected, and after if they click some link where he gotta be redirected, kind of the user flow, the total flow of a website is known as mid fidelity wireframe. And the high fidelity wireframe is used in Illustrator or Sketch. It is a complete mock-up or wireframe of a website with web flow and also the mock-ups. And finally, UI design is made to make the ideas into reality. Those design is directly converted into a user interface. So now we talk a little bit deeper about user interface. User interface, before talking about user interface, user experience is just illustrations that we design using softwares like Illustrator, Photoshop, Sketch, Balsamiq. But when it comes to user interface, we have to get our hands dirty in our code, which means we really need to design our stuffs using coding, so that the browser will understand our website language. So this is it, and this is markup, style, scripting. Markup is the basic structure of a website, and to be frank, it is the backbone for each and every website in entire internet. Without HTML, which means hypertext markup language, none of the websites will be run. So it will create the basic elements of a website. So this is very important to learn. And the alternative and libraries, it's just like a framework we can use for this is Jade, Pug, and Haml. So that's the markup. You can learn markup within a couple of hours. But when it comes to style, CSS, cascading style sheet, it is a beauty queen of our website, which it makes our website really, really awesome. And to learn CSS, it will take about a week Actually, it depends on your work that you put on. And responsive websites, to learn how to create a responsive websites, which means it will be compatible as well as responsive to all the devices like monitor and laptops and phones, tablets, etc. And some of the CSS libraries, which means we can make our stuffs a lot more easier using these libraries, like SCSS, SAS, LESS. You can use, my preferable choice is SCSS, and in markup I would always choose to code in Haml when I pick Ruby, but other than that I'll use Jade. Jade is my favorite thing. And when it comes to style, the framework, there are 4 popular frameworks, which are Bootstrap, Materialize, Semantic, and Foundation. Bootstrap is really a popular framework. I always pick Bootstrap. And when it comes to scripting, scripting is basically the interactivity of our website. When we click any link, some pop-up will appear, which is scripting. It's scripting basically used in form validation, or like if the confirmed password or password matches, or a correct email address validations, and also the password characters or password constraint matches kind of stuffs, and also the user interaction with buttons, or a lot of stuff scripting is used, which is a JavaScript. JavaScript is the very important thing to learn in a full stack web development, because if you learn JavaScript, it will help you a lot in your development. And ECMAScript, it's very similar to JavaScript, and ECMAScript also follows some serious good scripting stuffs than JavaScript. So after JavaScript, you gotta go one step further to make your website really awesome. The first problem that we see in our website is loading. People, as an user experience, we talked about that earlier. According to the user experience, when the page loads frequently, oftenly, for each and every click, people get damn bored, and also they get started to switch off our website, and they prefer to move to other very interactive website. So for that, we need to use Angular, React, or Vue kind of single page application frameworks, which means SPA frameworks. These are the frameworks which makes our website not similar to the desktop application. In desktop application, if we click any buttons or tabs, our desktop software loads as very fast. So when we use Angular, React, or some kind of single page application frameworks in our website, we'll get to feel the same experience in website too. So that's the power of Angular. So my preference in these kind of framework is really Angular. I don't know, I'm not going to talk about this one is better than this and this one is better than this, but I seriously prefer Angular because it has a serious code design and very awesome community. So for that, I will pick Angular. And then Bower and Webpack are the package managers for JavaScript. So package manager simply means there are a lot of libraries and packages out there in the box for you to make your life easier in the development. So it's really not fair for you to use every time a JSON file to import or download and install those kind of stuff. So it's better for you to use Bower or Webpack kind of tools to make that too easier. So now backend. Backend is something which makes our business logical, which means there are a lot of programming languages in backend: C#, JavaScript, Python, PHP, and Java. And I don't want to debate the other programming languages. It may be any of your choice, but I'm just telling these are all the famous libraries and frameworks out there in these languages. C# is completely a Microsoft world before, but now it's not only a Microsoft world, it's also an open source world. Before, C# is very platform dependent, but now C# is platform independent, where it will support to both Mac, Windows, as well as Linux. So ASP.NET MVC standard is the Windows platform where you can code your stuffs in Windows. ASP.NET Core is platform independent. You can host in Windows Server or Linux Server, that's your choice. Link is a linear integrated query, which is very important in web development in C#. It basically means to the querying data or querying some data in SQL manner. So it will be very helpful. And then the entity framework, which is an ORM, which is very, very helpful and useful. You can use this entity framework for enormous amount of databases like MongoDB, SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, etc., etc. So, and the next thing is Web API. So when you ask about API, API means Application Programming Interface, which means we use this stuff at most cases like a single page application where a front end needs to talk to the back end dynamically. So for that, the Angular, React kind of frameworks sends some JSON file or JSON request using REST API. So it will send those requests, and these backend stuff will respond to that request, and it will only update the specific area of the website. So there is no point and there is no need to reload the entire web page. Only that specific data will be loaded. So that is the API. API is also used in mobile platforms and also desktop. It's an interface which connects the entire application. So what is JavaScript in backend? Seriously, before 5 or 6 or 10 years, no one thinks that JavaScript will involve in backend. But now JavaScript is playing a huge role in backend because a lot of companies like Twitter, LinkedIn, I think Yahoo migrated to Node.js, which means a backend framework, asynchronous framework. People are talking about it is also a fastest programming stuff, which is really useful for the asynchronous file transferring and streaming kind of stuff. So Node.js is cool. So if you only learn JavaScript. If you don't want it to convert, or if you don't want it to pick many languages, you can stick with JavaScript, and you can directly transfer to the Node.js and picks any of the framework like Express or Metro framework, and you can make use of that. If you wanted to do some API kind of stuff, you can do that using Happy, which is a very good API platform. And Python is a very easy language, and it has a lot of cool features, big community, and Django and Flask is the best web framework. And Django is a seriously big web framework, but Flask is not is a lightweight web framework. SQL Alchemy is an ORM, which is very similar like Entity Framework. But in JavaScript, a Metro framework itself, or Express itself, contains ORM patterns. So we need not to explicitly use any of the ORM kind of stuffs. So in PHP is a very big guy in web development in backend. These frameworks like Slim, Lightweight Framework, Laravel, and Cake PHP are the good right now. I don't know a lot about PHP. I'm just conveying the information to you. And Eloquent is the ORM used in PHP, and it's also used in Laravel, and it's also can be used in Slim. So the next one is Java, and seriously, to be frank and to be note, and these are all the programming languages seriously doing well in backend web development. There are a lot of other languages, there are a lot of other frameworks in these programming languages, but these are the one very famous. If you have any debate about the stuffs that I'm talking, you can go ahead and comment it out so that I can also learn from you. So in Java is as equivalent to C#, which is a big giant. So in Java, Spring and Play framework is very cool frameworks, and Hibernate is a ORM which is used in Java. And these are all a lot of languages. So what is the point on showing these much languages? So if you are really carrying on working with a huge enterprise level application, I would tell to go on with C# or Java. So because those are the biggest stuffs, those can handle a lot of amount of concurrent transactions, and those are really superheroes. They can manage anything. So if you like to work with C# or Java, I would say to go on with if you are likely to work with enterprise, no worries, you can go with C# and Java. No, C# or Java. And if you are really likely to create an application like Facebook or chat or streaming based applications, you can go with JavaScript. And if you are really like to create a small or medium kind of application, you can go ahead with Python and PHP. So now the database. The database is really an important. Database skill is very core for every full stack web developer. Even though in a full stack web development there is an optional to learn about UX, but database is essential. So there are three kinds of database. One is relational database and non-relational database and backend as a service. Relational database, which means a tables is related to other table. They can be related to one to many, many to one, one to one, or many to many, But in non-relational database, there is no relational between them. It's all like tree-based structures, no relationship between them. So it's simply called as no SQL, which means which doesn't mean that there is no SQL queries present over there. It just means not only SQL, it's more advanced than SQL. So MySQL is very popular database, and also the PostgreSQL is a little bit bigger than MySQL, and SQL Server and Oracle is two big giants, which is used by the Microsoft, and Oracle is used by the Oracle. So you can pick whatever database, because it just really doesn't matter if you want pick one. Other things are really 95% is same, I would say. And non-relational database. Non-relational database is seriously known as NoSQL database, which also relates to the big data, the enormous amount of data which is handled by Google, Facebook kind of companies, big companies. So MongoDB is the really popular and usable by everyone. So, and then the CouchDB, Redis and memcached is specifically used for caching, and it's really awesome. So if you wanted to store cache data, you can use Redis or memcache for specific kind of stuff. If you wanted to store some files or huge data, you can go ahead with Mongo in NoSQL. Hadoop, HBase, Cassandra, Spark is all big data. These are big lions. If your website or application goes that huge, you really need to switch to the big data. And the backend as a service. Backend as a service is seriously a good thing in a full stack web development, because all the nitty-gritty things is handled by the certain providers like Firebase, Azure, Amazon Back, which means you need not to care about mapping. You need not to care about the black box stuff of the database, which means the most of the stuffs like backing up and a lot of service stuff. If you go at an analytical stuff, a lot of analytical stuff will be handled by themselves, which means the service providers make your life a lot more easier, and it's simply also used for the mobile backend as a service. So it's my preference in this is Firebase and Azure. I haven't used Azure before, but I heard Azure is good from my friends. But Amazon Backend is also a good backend as a service. So the servers. So when it comes to server environment or DevOps, there are three stuffs: shared hosting, VPN, cloud. And I just wanted to convey this another information. I'm not at all promoting any of these companies. It's just my knowledge I'm sharing with you guys. One is shared hosting and another one is VPN, virtual private service. Sorry, it's not a VPN, it's VPS, virtual private. And cloud. And in the shared hosting, A2 hosting, HostGator, Bluehost, InMotion, SiteGround, Hostinger. These are all the popular companies. They provide shared hosting. If you ask me, I will choose HostGator and A2 hosting. HostGator is really good, really awesome when it compares to other shared hostings. Shared hosting. So what is shared hosting? Shared hosting is very simple. the service or the server which is ready made for you. All you need to do is to put your folder, project folder, inside the HTTP directory. All you need to do is to little bit of modification in the cPanel or Plesk panel. Other than that, it's really simple. It's really good for beginners. If you start, shared hosting is the very good choice. VPN, which means a VPS, which means they will give you a dedicated machine for you. They didn't do any other stuff. The only thing that they do is to allocate some memory, RAM and SSD for you, and also the OS, operating system. And you need to install, and you need to map your domain, and you need to host all the stuffs by you manually. For this, before getting into the server or DevOps kind of stuff, you seriously need to learn about commands, which means if you are a Windows user, you need to be very well in Unix commands. If you are a Linux user, you need to be very well at Linux commands. So cloud, and the next one is cloud. Cloud, which has three varieties. One is platform as a service, and another one is infrastructure as a service, and third one is software as a service. Amazon and DigitalOcean provides us infrastructure as a service, where they give operating system and all the other kind of RAM, SSD stuffs, and Azure also very same to that. And Heroku is a software as a service, where in their cloud they'll install all the softwares by themselves. We only need to go and pick that up. And Heroku is also a platform as a service. And Google is also a platform as a service, which is very similar to Heroku. And what's the difference between this cloud and shared hosting? Shared hosting, which is we pay for that annually, or a fixed amount should be paid for that. But cloud is not like that. Pay as you go concept, which means if your website goes gradually with a same rate, same increase of stuff, you actually need to switch to cloud other than VPS or shared hosting, because it will be very, very cool. So this is it. This is the full stack web development series, and we talked about the programming languages, UX, UI, and database, and finally the server. Now I'm going to tell you all my pickings of that. So in UX, use Illustrator for wireframe or mockup, and then in full stack, in front-end web development, use HTML, CSS is very compulsory, and Angular for the scripting SPA applications. And in programming languages, I would say go for C#, because C# is really good in 2018. And in server or database, I would say go with SQL Server or MongoDB. If you're using mobile-based application, you can go with Firebase, but this is not mobile backend, a mobile developer. It's about full stack web developer especially, so we don't need not to care about much about BAS, backend as a service. And in the hosting, if you are a beginner, you can go with the HostGator. In shared hosting, if you are experienced, you wanted to try the DevOps stuffs, you can go with Azure or DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is cheap, and if you wanted to go with high cost and high performant, you can seriously go with Amazon. So thank you for this. Thank you for listening all this stuff, and I love you all for this patient. So please like, share, and subscribe to get more informations like this. Thank you.